Yes. Oh, you know what that sound means. It's time for In the Paddock F1. Greeny and the Cheese. Round 10 sees F1 return to Catalonia for the 34th time. We race in Barcelona for the Spanish Grand Prix. And while you're there in Barcelona, you got to check out the second most visited church in the world. That's right, the Basilica de la Sagrada Familia. And by the way, it's still not finished. We're still building the damn thing.
200-something years.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. And you might as well also check out the Gothic Quarter. See some ruins from the Roman times in the historic center of the old city. But what else you got? Because you were actually there not long ago, Michael. What else you got? Come on, bring it to me.
You gotta get paella when you're there. They serve it with the prawns, with the seafood. They've got a whole prawn right on top. Oh, that's money, man. Paella, it's worth it. It's the saffron. It's that region saffron. But you know.
Yeah, but this ain't no travel show. This is an F1 show. We're racing the circuit for Catalonia. 2.89 miles, 14 corners. Oh, yeah, that old rubber chicane, yeah, that's gone. Thank you, God, for that. 2 DRS zones. You give it the full beans for 67% of your lap. And oh, what a race we got there in Spain. Lando was on pole. The first time McLaren's been on pole in, like, forever, man, there in Spain. But we'll get into that later. We'll see if Michael remembers. But he tried to squeeze out Max at the start, but then Russell took the lead. But then in lap 2, Max, because, you know, Max is just a dude. Passes Russell, and on the way he went. A little challenge there from Lando, but not enough. As Max takes the win, Lando comes in second. Lewis rounds out the podium. We're caffeinated, we're medicated. Greeny, good afternoon, sir.
What a race.
Good morning.
Good
morning. It's actually morning still.
It's still morning here on the East Coast as we see for a rarity here in the Circuit de Catalonia, which is someone not winning from pole position, which Lando Norris, as you just mentioned, did end up on pole. McLaren had a hell of a weekend, including a fire, which we'll get to later as well. But Lando Norris came in second. I'm sure McLaren is happy but not happy. But Max Verstappen just dominated the day. He ended up taking the lead early in the race by lap 3, and he was so quick out of DRS range. He was so quick out of that 1 second range that just no one even had time to react. No one had time to catch up. He was gone. They had some wonderful pit strategy for him. I don't know why it's not bleeding over into Perez at all at this moment. I don't know why Sergio is just sitting out there. We'll get to that later. But, man, Max Verstappen, he is the dude. Get a white Russian, sir, because you're the dude.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Max gets a challenge, and he just, you know, nobody can say that the man can't drive. Let's just put it that way. I mean, he finally has somebody challenging him. You know, hasn't had this in a couple years since the battles with Lewis, but somebody's challenging him, and he's stepping up. Just steps up. I mean, Lando and him were just, you know, on a different level compared to everybody else. It was Lando, Max, Merc and Ferrari, then everybody else.
Yeah. Merc showed some stones, man. Merc showed some stones out there this weekend.
Has, the upgrades that Merc has brought, they've really got their handle on the car now. And we actually have, we have a big fight there at the top right now, which is fun. And we haven't had this in a long time. I mean, yeah, Max is still winning. Red Bull's still up there, but it's just because of Max because, you know, as you just said, Sergio's just somewhere else and not helping the team as much as they would like, you know, to get that bigger breakaway. But Max is just on a different planet. Lando's finally made that turn that we've been waiting for such a long time. He finally got that taste, as they say. The man offered me a taste, and he wants more. He wants more, and he wants more. He's not satisfied with second anymore. He's not satisfied with second. You know, we got Merc. Merc's now back in the fight here. Challenging for, you know, what was the difference between, I think Max and Lando for pole was like 2/10 to everybody else, and everybody else was separated by like hundredths of a second after that. So, I mean, we got like a 14 fight now running, which we haven't had in forever, and that makes it fun.
Oh, wow.
Because now you show up. Now you show up, and I mean, what are you going to go over the last 4 races? We've had what, 3-4 different winners? When's the last time you could say that in a season during a 4-race stretch?
I believe we had 4 different poles in the last 4 races. Is that correct? 4
different drivers on pole in the last 4 races. That is correct as well.
Yeah, so that makes it fun.
It's fun. It's fun because you turn up to the weekend and you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know. This is what you want. This is what Formula One's about. Let's put the best drivers in the world and the best racing series in the world, and let's let them go. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, listen, you're 100% right in regards to the competitiveness. Obviously, it just gives you more to talk about leading up to the next race, as we have a triple header here over the next 3 weeks. Yeah. It gives you something to talk about instead of like, well, Max is going to win, so who cares? I mean, I remember the betting lines. Yeah. Seeing Max at negative 160 this week or whatever it was, which I should have taken him. He's usually like negative 1,200 on the betting lines for those of you who indulge in such wondrous things. So, with all of that, and for those of you who have a serious problem, in the States, 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-GAMBLER, and we'll get to our gambling segment later. But honestly, it's makes it for the what-ifs, and there's so few what-ifs during the Max Verstappen reign. There was so few what-ifs during the Lewis Hamilton reign. I'm going to take you back further. There was so few what-ifs during the Sebastian Vettel Red Bull reign. It's been a while. Really, that gap between Schumacher and Vettel and Red Bull's, rise, in the early 2010s, it's a totally different. That's really the only area we had, and we still don't. Max is dominating still, right? Bottom line, he's dominating the points. He's winning almost every race, but there's a lot more parity, and it's not over. This time last year, it was over. The 2023 season was over before July 1st, and we don't have that this year. We know that in the constructors, it's completely up in the air what's going to happen in the constructors. Again, I don't know what's going on with Sergio Perez. I mean, he made it to Q3 at least, but I don't know what's going on there. Just the standards are pathetic. And he can't even make a move, really. I mean, it started 11th and finished 8th, so that just changes the game for Red Bull completely. Mm-hmm. And if Max dips,
sure.
Or if we're seeing, look at, we talk about it every year, Lewis Hamilton, for some reason, those first 8 to 10 races, he always struggles with. Now, I know he's 39. He's not a young guy anymore as he used to be, but at the same time, he's always struggled in the first third of the season, even when he was winning championships, and then just, takes off. Obviously, whatever Mercedes is doing to that vehicle, they're reaping the benefits at this moment. Another third, fourth, and right off the gun, right at lights out, we had George Russell right in the front of the pack, which was awesome to see. It didn't last long, but
you knew that wasn't going to happen.
But still, you had him in the front of the pack. It's not just how we had it the last several years, where it's Max Verstappen getting a 3-second lead before the second lap is even over, and it's just over. Yeah. It's just good night. Yeah. The only thing you had was Max crashing out on the first lap, or it was over.
Yeah.
That's all you had to hope for. Now you can actually watch a full race. Things happen. Things change. Mm-hmm. We see a lot of movement. We saw a lot of pit movement. Guys coming out of the pits with new tires. We saw that staggered pit strategy with the two-stop strategy. So it was much more staggered than we normally have it, where everyone really pits within 2-3 laps. And now we had a much more staggered pit. We got to see a lot of how that affected it. Those 1 second, 2 seconds meant a lot today, which is awesome. Yeah. Right? It's awesome. When you have a 30-second gap between each team, those 2-second to 4-second pit stops don't mean anything. But when the race is that close, that close. All eyes are on the pit stop. They really are. And that 1.9 seconds means a lot more to Max Verstappen today versus, the 5.5 second pit stop for George Russell, as we mentioned earlier. That's a massive gap now.
Yeah.
Even Ferrari's 3 second pit stops were a massive gap. That 1 second means so much now. But I've spoken enough. I know Ferrari definitely didn't reap what you thought they were going to reap this weekend. Charles Leclerc for sure coming out with fresher tires than Mercedes. That was probably the biggest surprise of the weekend for me when Charles Leclerc was coming out of the pit with fresher tires and still wasn't able to make up much of a gap really until the end of the race, which was too late at that point to Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got to say about the top of the race today, man.
That was a good one. It was a good one. Had it all. Back on a proper circuit. That's, old school style racetrack. Let's get it on.
Yeah, and still we have a lot of season to go. There's still 14 races left, so we have a tremendous season. I mean, we really have like what it was, 20 years ago as far as almost a full season right ahead of us. So it's going to be unbelievable, an unbelievable finish. We were not saying that the last couple of years, so I'm pumped, dude. So let's get it on.
Absolutely.
And, of course, that brings us to our favorite, or my least favorite, your most favorite time of each race as you pepper me with questions. 3 questions, one time around the lap. We call it the Quizmaster's Cockpit. As I strap myself in, you fire away questions. We try to get 3 purple sectors. Only purple sectors count. If it's not purple, it don't mean shit.
That is right.
You are correct, sir.
You are correct, sir.
So right answers,
all right, are you ready,
right
sir?
answers, completely right answers. If you got a 3-point part question, it's got to be 3 correct answers. It's not 2. It's go. Let's.
As they say, it's all or nothing.
It's all or nothing.
Question number 1. Including today, how many times has F1 raced at Barcelona? I gave you the answer at the beginning of the show.
Just Barcelona, not the Spanish Grand Prix.
Not the Spanish Grand Prix, just Barcelona.
Was it 25?
34. Off to a flying start. Said at the beginning of the program.
I'm not paying attention. I got stuff I got to produce. I got to get the music going. Sometimes I'm off in like La La Land.
I don't think anybody cares about your excuses because then you always say, I got to start paying attention more to the beginning.
Yeah, I do. And then I realize I got to start paying attention as well to like the intro music and all that stuff, dude. It's not an easy job. I try. I try for you.
Yeah. Well, off to a flying start as usual.
Off to a flying start. Get those losers chalked up. Get them ready.
That's right.
All right.
All right. How many meters is it from pole to the breaking point for turn 1?
$210.
Not even close. 630.
I knew it was long. I don't go by meters. It's close to feet. It's probably close.
No.
Yeah,
A meter's like a yard, dude. Question number 3.
Yeah, it's far.
Let's see if you get 1.
It's like a quarter mile. It's a far.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Question 3. Let's see if we can get 1. Lando at pole. When was the last time McLaren was on pole in Barcelona?
It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
05?
That is correct.
Was it Kimi in 05?
That is correct.
Wow. All right. That makes up a little bit.
The hardest question of the three, you get right. One was a gimme. Two, they talk about this constantly when, you're going into Barcelona, how long the run is down to turn one. But you get the hardest question of them all. But you still only got one of three. So that takes us into losers.
The history stuff I'm better at. I don't know, freaking meters and distance. I don't know how to calculate this stuff. I don't do my own taxes. I don't do the banking. Numbers are no good. It's like if everyone's seen Seinfeld, like Cosmo Kramer, when he goes international, has no idea. He doesn't understand the concept of like 2,000 lira for a cab ride isn't, actually 2,000 American dollars. I got problems. But go ahead. Give me your losers.
Let's go Aston Martin. Both cars out of the points. Disastrous weekend. They're probably looking at two more disastrous weekends and coming up too. Because if you can't handle high-speed corners at Spain, you're definitely not going to handle in Austria or at Silverstone. So they're going to be on the pain train here for a little bit. Aston Martin, these upgrades did not pan out as they would have hoped. Not good. And if you want to be that next best team behind the top four, it's not the way you want to be performing at this point in the season. Williams, just a mess. Just a mess.
You got to get Logan Sargent out. We've been talking about it for a month now.
Yeah, he's got to go. He's got to go. It's time. It's out. The experiment's over. Let's move on.
Listen, he had his opportunity. He absolutely had his opportunity. Williams, it's a crap car, man.
Well, it's an absolute mess. They actually give him the new floor upgrade. And it wasn't giving him crap to what they thought it was going to do. So that's also, the development department there too, which is just an absolute shambles at this point. Team's a mess. Way to go, Mr. Valls. Way to go.
Yeah, he's having a rough one. For sure. I think everyone. I'm not the only one that had a lot of faith in James Vowles and turning around Williams this year. I'm definitely not the only one. So, just proving me wrong over and over again. Again, we still have a lot of races to go. Maybe Williams could do something this year. That would be nice. Visa, RB, Red Bull Juniors. They should just be called Red Bull Juniors. Yuki alone. Yuki was a mess. He was a mess in practice. He's getting in people's way. I mean, it's also known now. It's like a known around the paddock now that Yuki's going to get in your way during practice when he's just not paying attention. Yeah. He's done, and then he's got his times. He's got everything. He just doesn't care that there's other, cars on track also trying to put up numbers and times and tests and everything else. He just doesn't care. It's like he's in video game land a little bit, and I know he takes a lot of criticism for the amount of video games he does play. I don't want to be that person to criticize him for that, but he's got like that, when you play a Formula One video game, you're not worried about anyone behind you because there's no actual consequences. But there's consequences here. And
yes,
it's a joke now. It's a freaking joke with Yuki. Everyone in the pack knows it. So big fat L for you. And I'll leave Danny Rick out of it for this week. I'm sure he'll come back next week with a L for him. And specifically, I can give it to Haas completely. But Nico Hülkenberg, you got to get over, as now we're calling it the Berdoza line, which is 6 points for a season. That's going to be permanent. If you're in a team that has any mojo, even the slightest bit of mojo going into the season, and you can't get more than 6 points, which he's tied with right now, more than 6, I don't even know what to say. It's freaking 6 points. That's going to be the line. Obviously, there's going to be teams that just can't compete, that are just uncompetitive completely, and I understand those drivers are going to come up with zeros for the season. There's always a team, maybe 2, but you got to get more than 6 points in a season. Nico is just sitting out there, and especially when he's moving teams and getting a big contract, so go somewhere else. I think he needs to do it now, man. And I know Alpine's looking good. I'm sure you're going to talk about them in a minute, but damn it, Nico. Damn it. Get a freaking point on the board. There's so many points up for grabs. So many points with sprint races. So many points. You can't do it. Those are my losers. You got winners?
I got some winners. Alpine. Both cars in the points, and to stick a little extra in your craw, I believe they passed Haas in the constructors as well this weekend with that. With that finish. So
Pierre Gasly had a great race. He had a great weekend. He looked good.
Yes.
Look at the Alpines look good all weekend, even in practice. They're putting up good numbers, especially P2. They put up some nice numbers.
Brought the upgrades, got the car to wait, makes big changes. And Lewis Hamilton, 198th career podium. Give it up. 2 more, and man's got 200. That's insane.
Bend that knee.
That's insane. Those would be my winners.
You know, I think Ferrari got a little blindsided this weekend with how good Mercedes ended up being. But I'm still going to give W's to Ferrari because I know they had just a wild weekend. Carlos Sainz, it was everything that could go wrong again did go against them, except this time they were still able to get double points. Both double top 6. You know, there was not a lot of hope in this weekend for Ferrari. They're coming off a really bad weekend, and they needed to put up double points. They needed to put up double top 6, probably better. You know, I was thinking Leclerc would be on podium this week, but they're sticking around. And Mercedes had just an unbelievable weekend. They were much more prepared for this track. Their cars were much more prepared for this track than Ferrari's was. But I'm still going to give them the win as a team. They really could have just went in their shell at this point, which they've done in previous years. They've had a great week, especially coming off of
the high of Monaco.
In Monaco. And then, you know, taking a big step back. Previous years, they've taken that step back and kind of stayed back there and had multiple tough weekends in a row.
Snowball.
And it has snowballed. They pulled themselves out of it. Hopefully they can continue to pull themselves out of it. But I'll give them a mediocre win for the week. And
that's fair.
And then, I mean, I don't see anyone out there besides, you know, of course, Mercedes. And we talked about them all weekend. I'm going to give it to Toto Wolff for keeping this team together, because a lot of guys in his situation, in Toto's situation, would have also just backed out. So much pressure over the last even year and a half. His demeanor, especially at the beginning of the season, was so changed. Mercedes was kind of just left as a secondary team almost, talking about they were barely even a top 5 team, talking potentially that Aston Martin would be better than them. And then they come out and just pick it up, man. They pick it up. And Toto Wolff, regardless of what criticism he got, regardless of where other people, normal folk, would just crumble completely over the pressure, he came through and stuck with it. And back-to-back 3-4. I mean, that's just awesome for Mercedes fans. And I hate seeing Mercedes being good, but got to give it up when they are. And those, of course, are my winners, which leads us to only one thing.
I need to slap my goddamn for that.
It's yours this week, baby.
We're going to go off the paddock this time, off the grid. I don't know who did it, but somebody set a hospitality suite on fire, specifically the McLaren hospitality suite on fire, burnt it down, the whole damn suite. And they were like, oh, it was probably an electrical malfunction. So they did the investigation, no electrical malfunction, full investigation. Somebody burnt something on the stove. What do you set on fire on the stove? What are you, in college? That was like, you know, like the time. I mean, listen, we were in college together, so I mean, I'm sure we didn't even burn the fucking place down. We were in college. We should have with the crew we went to college with. We didn't set a single fire, not a single one. And these guys, professional people. And then they blame it on electrical shortage. Shut up. And then they turn to it not to be electrical shortage. I don't think we're going to hear anything more of this. McLaren will do a good job of dusting it over, and whoever did it's probably going to get away with it, at least externally. Hopefully internally they get a...
They're not even going to have it next week. They're going to have no hospitality for next week. They're not going to have one. They're not going to have one again until, like, Silverstone.
Burnt it to the ground. The hell were you making?
Hey, you know what also? It's got to be, like, it's not just some Joe Schmo in there cooking either. It's like a professional chef, too.
I'd
Or like
assume.
a team of chefs. It's like a team of chefs, so.
I assume Oscar Piastri isn't making his own grilled cheese,
I would probably not.
Not a race weekend.
Probably not. Oh, yes. You know what that sound means. It's the best damn sound of the week. So we take that fantasy ride to that fantasy island of Freetopia, where the beer flows like wine and the wine flows like beer. And the cannabis, oh yes, look at it out there. Grows as far as the eyes can see. Look at it out there. Green and luscious. Take a little whiff. That air smells fantastic. As we take a little walk to the top of the hill, that casino at the top, just like Monaco, baby. Are we cashing in or are we checking out?
We both
Not so good this week.
Not so good. We both ended up, as lame as it is, we both had the same picks. It happens every once in a while where we end up with the same ones. So we once again ended up with the same ones. So we both picked the same trifecta, which I think was a big money trifecta, which did not come true because it relied on Charles Leclerc coming in third, which he did not. Like I said earlier in the show, I was really, really impressed that how Mercedes was able to hold off Charles Leclerc, especially, heading out after his pit stop because he was trying to get ahead. The strategy was to get a later pit stop than Mercedes to try to get fresher tires and get ahead of them, but didn't work. Didn't work at all. And that was a tough strategy. So that kept us both off the board with that. But we did both win when it came to Alpine, which I guess is like a lock 2 weeks in a row with Alpine doubling on points, both Alpine cars making the points. So that got us a plus 100 on that. But we ended up with losing two. So I took a 100-point shot in the mouth, and you took a 50 greenie buck shot as well. So we both dropped, but you were still well ahead, almost 800 greenie bucks ahead of me as I sweat through as we come up to the halfway point of the season. 4,160 to 3,450. I'm dwindling, man. I'm dwindling here, but I still got plenty of greenie bucks to play with. So do you. Any
time left.
Any week, really, any of us could take a big lead. You haven't really got that big lead yet, but I haven't done anything to even catch up remotely. So a little luck on my back should help. But that is greenie bucks for the week. Both of us checking out. No one cashing in, and we move to the next race. But before we get there, and before we conclude our show, I want to remind everyone, when you listen to the show, and you'll enjoy what you see, you enjoy what you hear, hit us up. You can hit us up on email in thepaddock@gmail.com. You can leave a like. You can leave a comment. Leave a 5-star review. That's awesome as well. Leave a 4-star review if you think that's what it is, but most preferably a 5-star review. And, of course, tell your friends, tell your friends, tell your best friends, tell your worst friends, tell any friend to listen to the In the Paddock F1 with Greenie and the Cheese. If you like it, I'm sure they will too. And without further ado, we now present In the News! Another episode of In the News, Formula One style. Cheese, what do you have this week?
I got 4 for you this week. The FIA tweaked its rules so that Antonelli would now be able to race in F1. What's your thoughts on that?
I saw that coming. I mean, they've been in love with Kimi Antonelli since mid 2023. I think he's got the personality they're looking for. I think he has a little more maturity they're looking for, and for someone that age. But it'll be damn interesting, man. It'll be interesting when you got a kid coming in. We haven't had someone this young since Max Verstappen really coming in and taking a seat. So it should be interesting. Always fun. We'll see what he has and what he doesn't. It's also dangerous, right? You can take a step backwards really quickly and hurt someone's and damage their ego or damage their mindset. But he's got a big seat, man. It's going to be a big freaking deal. It's going to be a big deal next year. And I'm excited for it. But hopefully it doesn't ruin his career, right? Hopefully it's not too early. You said the same thing about Max Verstappen, who didn't even have like a driver's ability to drive on the road in most of the countries his rookie year, especially when he ended up with the Red Bull team from the Red Bull juniors at that time. So it's a risk. It's a risk, but hey, man, you want to make money? You get young, exciting guys.
Nah.
Your thoughts?
I mean, I don't know about the rule changes to let somebody in. I mean, the rules are the rules, so let's not be bending them just to let somebody in. Because that's
come on, everyone bends the freaking rules. If at least cha-ching, we bend the rules, okay? Where the hell? What planet are you living on? You just came from Mars. People change the rules to get financially ahead in life when they can. It's a private company. I'm not changing laws. I'm not petitioning the European Union. They do what the hell they want to do. Their sport, their rules. Change the damn rules. Make some cash, baby. Billions of dollars are just apparently not enough, so.
Apparently it's never enough, so.
Never enough.
No, it's the next story here. Charles Leclerc was not happy with Carlos Sainz post-race. And this wasn't the first time this season. So there's more than we know building behind the scenes of Ferrari.
I mean, early on, they were so close. And if you watch some of the behind the scenes, there was a special that Ferrari put out. I think it was a YouTube exclusive where it was kind of just the traveling, where Carlos Sainz and Leclerc were just like traveling back and forth, jumping in like the van to get back and forth to the venues when they were in the Middle East, and just listening to them talk and listen to their rapport. It seemed a lot better than I would expect, especially based on, Carlos' situation and kind of getting the boot before he even got into the seat this year. So that was a tough one for him. So I thought he was handling it really, really well, but obviously that was all bullshit. And obviously there was a lot of building underneath of tension and frustration. And when you're losing your job at the end of the season, as several of these Formula One drivers, Esteban Ocon, I think he's just going down that path. And it gets frustrating and tough. I think he'd be a lot less frustrated if he was, landing some podiums, for sure.
Yeah.
But and also he was beating out Leclerc the first few races of the season. He was better. Mm-hmm. And now Charles Leclerc is running better than Carlos Sainz and finishing in front of him just about every single week. So tables have turned a little bit. I'm sure there's a little embarrassment at his point, especially Carlos saw himself as the number one driver for Ferrari and kind of just changing the tone. And turns out he's not. And Charles Leclerc is the number one guy at Ferrari. But if this is frustration between who's number one, I just can't imagine what's going to happen with Lewis Hamilton in there next year. It's just on paper, it sounds great. In a video game world, it sounds great. But when you get Leclerc and Hamilton together, I just wonder what that tension is going to be. Because in the end, as good as Charles Leclerc is, when it comes to championships, he ain't won shit. So
that's right.
So, and Lewis has won the most. So, it is. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with that. All right, next story.
Where is Carlos going next year?
Williams? Still out there.
Or
still
Sauber?
Out there. And crappy choices now for a guy who's driving the top.
Well, he's also. I've also heard that he came out and said he doesn't want a project. Well, guess what? Those two teams are projects.
Listen, I mean, we talked about this whole, potential possibility, and I think he ruined it. I think Carlos Sainz ruined it when he was going for this 3-year, $180 million contract and trying to get all this money. And there was rumors out there, and I think he just wanted too much. And I think also that's the frustration going back to the previous story where, he thought he was going to be the bomb diggity number one guy, especially early on in the year. And I think he was trying to capitalize on those podium finishes at the beginning of the season and capitalize on his success at the beginning of the season. And now he's taking a step back, and people aren't interested in paying him $50, $60 million a year like they might have potentially, again, that was all rumors, potentially wanted to pay him, 2 months ago, 3 months ago at this point. So, yeah, totally different environment we're in with him, playing second fiddle now to Charles as opposed to being the number one guy at Ferrari definitely hurts him, and he's going to end up not making his $50 million, $60 million a year contract. He's probably going to make 15, 20 at most at this point, especially if he goes to a Sauber or something like that. Or he could price himself out and not end up racing at all in Formula One next year, because he might say, "Listen, I want $50 million a year, or I'm not going to race," and that could be a possibility too. So, when you're in a position this young in life where you can just have more money than you'll ever need to spend in your entire life, maybe you make different decisions. And it'll be interesting because Formula One's a tough sport, and you can't half-ass it. And you see what's going on with Valtteri Bottas now, how struggle he is with the Sauber now, just week to week. I know the car sucks, but he definitely, it's a long way down going from a Merc or a Ferrari to a Sauber or a Williams. It's a long way down. It's just a completely different work environment, completely different daily strategy. Everything's different.
Yeah. That's rough, kid, as they say.
That's rough. Should take the cash who's out there.
Yeah, should take the money and run. Is that Steve Miller Band?
Come on, take the money and run.
All right, and the final story we got this week. Flavio Briatore. He's back with Alpine in a consulting role. Will that help? He was there during the glory days of the Renault team. So, will this help?
I don't think so. I saw his interview on the grid walk today, which was an absolute disaster.
He seemed absolutely smashed.
Absolute disaster. He doesn't care. He's coming in for a payday and a name to make it look like they're doing something, but he's just coming in as a name, as a face. When you're smashed at work, son, you're on the clock. I don't care who you are, I don't care what your name is. When you're on the clock and you're smashed on the grid, you don't care. You're just coming in for a payday. You don't care if you get fired. He's got more money than he ever needs, obviously. He's not serious. He's not serious. It's a ploy. It's a media ploy. I didn't think so, but based on today's interview, you're at work. What are you doing? That's just my opinion.
I mean, the man was smashed. He could barely even speak. Couldn't hear anything. Couldn't speak.
It's the middle of the workday too. It's like the middle. It's not the end.
It's like 1:45 in the afternoon.
It's too early to be that happy. But that's all I got to say about that. I've been plenty happy at 2:30, 1:30 in the afternoon before as well, but not at work.
Scene, man. Gotta love it.
What are you going to do? All right, where are we going next?
Austria, 1 week's time. Second part of the triple header.
Quick turnaround.
Quick turnaround.
We'll have cars back on track in about 3-4 days. We'll have cars back on track. We'll have practice this coming Friday, this week, and away we go, man. The season continues, keeps trucking on, and after this round of 3 here, this triple header, we'll be halfway through the season.
That is correct, sir.
So, take me home, country road. And of course, if you have not, as we mentioned before, tell your friends. Check us out wherever you can. Listen to old episodes, new episodes. They're all free. We charge nothing. We don't even have a subscription. We got nothing. We're free. So check us out. Appreciate everyone. We had the biggest month this June. Unbelievable month in June. We keep hoping to continue getting bigger and bigger each month. And we love getting on those Apple charts. And it's all because of you guys. So thanks so much. And we'll see y'all in Austria. Say what you got to say, brother.
Oh, as always, stay medicated, my friends.
Peace.